Hey, welcome to a brand new series on my channel where I'm going to be just talking about all the films that I watched last month. Very self-explanatory. I talk about the films, tell them why I like or didn't like them, maybe put a funny joke in there, and ultimately just have a very good time. So let's start the day with February. There was 29 days in February and I watched 27 films, almost there. So let's talk about each one of them. On the 3rd, I watched The Florida Project. This is Sean Baker's, I think, 3rd or 4th film. I'm not really too sure. Right when I watched this film, I knew that I would absolutely love it. This is a fantastic movie. It follows Haley and Monet as they navigate the motel that they're living in. Also has Willem Dafoe as Bobby, who does an absolutely amazing performance. I can definitely see why he got the Oscar nom for this. I don't know, I love the visuals, the colors, everything that Sean Baker does with his direction. It's overall just a beautiful movie and easily just went into my top 4 in Letterboxd. I think it's my 3rd film right now, but it could easily change with more viewings. And as a very avid Disney lover, it's kind of crazy to see how this really happens outside the Mouse's gates. So I thought that was really fascinating. I think Sean Baker does a really good job. Even as an aspiring filmmaker, I really love the low budget look of it, and I think it was a fantastic film. On the 4th, I watched May December. Woo! Let's talk about this film because there's a lot to unpack here. It follows Natalie Portman's character visiting Julianne Moore's character, and she is in a relationship with a guy, but she started the relationship when he was like 14. It's based on true events, doesn't really go into how true those events were. It doesn't have the characters' names, but the film doesn't shy away from that and shows the struggles that Charles Melton's character has to go through. Which, by the way, Charles Melton, how did you not get nominated for an Oscar? These 3 leads are fantastic. This story is really good, and it's shot in a way where we just have to live with these characters, and we have to live with Julianne Moore's manipulated state and just like soak in it, and it's like really vile. Again, props for the film for making me feel utterly disgusted. Next up, I watched Argylle. I hate this film. There is nothing I liked about this film. Okay, well, Matthew Vaughn is a good director. This is not a good film. There are some elements in this film that I hated so much. The action was a little bit too goofy for me, to a point where I just lost track of what was going on. There's like 9 twists in this film, and after the 2nd and 3rd and 4th and the 5th and the 6th and the 7th, I didn't give a shit. I didn't care. The performances are not that great, and I don't like that it's connected to the Kingsman series. And this is my first Matthew Vaughn film, so I was like very hesitant to watch his other films because this was just so bad. I hated myself watching this. I never watched this film. It is terrible. Then I watched Kingsman: The Secret Service. And okay, there is no way, and I mean no way, that Matthew Vaughn directed this film, because this is actually pretty good. Everyone is doing a really good job in this film. Taryn Erickson as Eggsy is fantastic. We got Colin Firth as, Harry Hard, Mark Strong. Samuel L. Jackson's like a goofy villain in this film. And the action's really good. It's a little bit stylized. You can tell that's not really real, but it's somewhat entertaining and it looks cool. And the story is actually really compelling about, this kid who didn't have anything and is recruited to this secret service and has to fight for, the world, basically. I mean, it's a pretty basic spy story, but, it really works here. Then I watched Kingsman: The Golden Circle. And a lot of people are saying if you didn't like Kingsman: The Golden Circle, that you wouldn't like Argylle because the action is kind of similar. But I mean, yeah, it's getting more goofy in this film, but it's not to the point where Argylle goofy, where it's just so stupid that you can't even watch. I really like this film. I think it has a lot of stakes with, the Kingsman being burned down, but at the same time, it has a lot of heart. It's pretty funny, and it's overall a good time. Is it better than Kingsman? No. Was that even hard to realize? No, but it's a fun time, and it's, it shows the characters in a good light. I overall really enjoyed the film. I enjoyed it. That's all that matters. Then I watched Rashomon. This is going to be, I'm in a film class right now, so this is going to be one of the films that I watch in the film class. It's going to be more artsy. This is Kurosawa's film. This is what the Rashomon effect is based on, and I'm sorry, but I didn't really enjoy this film. Maybe because I'm too young to enjoy it, but at the same time, I really like a lot of old films. I don't know. I get it. I get why he's influential. I get why the effect is named after it. I get Kurosawa is an amazing director, and no doubt that his other films like Seven Samurai and Dreams are going to be better like this. Something about Rashomon really pulled me away, and I'm not really sure. So maybe I'll rewatch it in the future. But as of right now, I thought it was fine. Then I watched Zone of Interest. Jonathan Glazer direction in this film is silent and spooky. It's about this Nazi family that live next door to a concentration camp and just try to live life. And yeah, you live with them, and the scariest and haunting part of it is that you don't see anything happening to the Jews. You don't see people getting burned, gassed, tortured, but you hear the sounds of it because you're right next to the camp. There could be scenes about two ladies just talking about their backyard and how, the pool looks nice and how the grass looks nice. And in the background, you hear bullets, screaming, whipping. You see the fire from the chambers. Jonathan Glazer never directly mentions it or references it, but just the fact that you're there and you hear that is scary and haunting. And the movie ends just suddenly, and it was honestly really beautiful. Beautifully haunting. Go check this one out. Then I watched Leon the Professional. This is one of 3 films that I had to watch for my film article about cinema de look in French films. This is Luc Besson's film from '94. You guys know this film. It's a classic. Natalie Portman's first performance and a staple of the action genre. I never knew how demented Gary Oldman was until I watched this film. He is scary. And the action is brutal, but in a really good way that's stylized. And I love the music that goes over it because it just makes the whole thing seem bigger and grander than it is when it's just about a hitman in New York. It's a very, very small person in this very big world. Then I watched The Kingsman. What a step down from the Kingsman franchise. What I loved about the Kingsman franchise is the gadgets. That's like one of the biggest things that I really enjoyed watching these films, is how they use the gadgets, like the pen and the umbrella. And unfortunately, we're like in the 20s here, so they don't really have that technology. It was fine. I think Ralph Fiennes did okay. The rest of the cast was okay as well. The action was good, but it's a Matthew Vaughn film, so what did you expect? But the best part was the end credit scene where they teased Hitler in like the most MCU way possible, and that was the funniest thing I've ever seen. It was so goofy and so stupid, but I really appreciated that Matthew Vaughn put in there. You can tell he's getting into his Argyle ways. Then I watched Betty Blue, another cinema de look film from '86. It is a 3-hour epic about 2 lovers just walking through France and talking. While that sounds boring to most of you, I thought it was really fascinating. We follow Betty and Zorg as how their relationship is tenuous, abusive, manipulative, and they just walk the earth together and find joy in one another. It was truly a spectacle, an episodic feel. The visuals are beautiful. There's a shot of them, painting houses, and they take a picture, and that's like one of the biggest cinema de look frames that you'll see is that picture. It's not for everyone. It's 3 hours of just lovers walking around France. There's not really a plot to it. There's a story, but maybe barely little of any. But you need to just dissolve yourself into the lives of these characters and truly just soak in it. Then I watched A Ghost Story. David Lowery only made this with $100,000. What? A film that shows loss in a kind of funny but extremely sad way. You follow Casey Affleck's character as he dies and he comes back as a traditional ghost that you used to play as a kid, like the ghost with the little eyes outside of his head. Yeah, it's super sad because he has to watch his wife mourn his death, and it's like he can't do anything. He's so helpless, and it's so sad to see his wife like move on, and then new people come to his house, and then he like tortures them. Not tortures them, but like moves some plates around. But it talks about death and how people, heal with death in such a dramatic but fascinating and beautiful way. And as a filmmaker, I just can't believe he made this beautiful film in like under like $250,000. That's absolutely insane. Sorry, that's just the filmmaker in me coming out. I love this film. It was beautiful. It was sad. There was like literally dialogue, and that pie scene, it's pretty tasty. Then I watched Breathless. This is French New Wave's like quintessential film. I watched this again in my film class, and I liked it a lot. It's like very new wavy. Like the main character kind of sucks, but like I love the dialogue in the film. I love the shots in the film, the handheld feel. Absolutely love just the location of Paris or France that they were in. I mean, I kind of forgot, guys. It's been a while. But yeah, I love the new wave. This is a new wave film. Not much to say. Watch Breathless, please. Next, I watched Ocean's 11. Why did I watch this film? I don't know, but I did. This is the reason why I think I have a gambling addiction now. You follow like these 11 characters, and you think with 11 characters, a lot of them wouldn't be fleshed out, but they are all fleshed out. Steven Soderbergh does an amazing job just putting you in the lives of these characters. And yes, Danny Ocean, George Clooney and Brad Pitt are the two main characters, but you get involved and interested and engrossed with the other 9. As a good villain with the casino boss, and I'm a fan of a heist film. I love a heist film, and especially if it's done right like they did it here. Yeah, this is a pretty good film. Then unfortunately I watched Madam Web, the new Spider-Man movie without Spider-Man that Sony keeps releasing just to retain their rights. Not gonna bash the filmmakers, not gonna bash anyone in this film. I'm just gonna bash Sony because Sony is incompetent. They are money hungry. They don't care about filmmakers, and a terrible company that will hold on to these Spider-Man rights like it's no tomorrow. I talked a little bit about Madam Web on my TikTok, so go watch it there. There's a little plug for my TikTok. But yeah, it was bad. The ADR is bad. The acting is bad. The direction is bad. The writing is bad. And whether that's actually on the actors, on the writers, on the director, or maybe they were just listening to Sony, who was employing them and basically saying, hey, if you don't do this, we're going to fire you. Who's in fault there? Then I watched Ocean's 12. Not a step up from Ocean's 11, but not a bad film. We go to Amsterdam and we'll go to Europe in this film, and it was cool to see. I think the Night Owl was a really cool addition to the film, but it doesn't have that Ocean's feel, that Casino Vegas feel. Not a bad film, but it just didn't have the sauce. Then I watched Ocean's 13, and this movie did have the sauce. It is a casino heist from the first second to the last second, and I was in for the ride. Yeah, it's not, better than Ocean's 11, and it has some flaws, but overall, I liked it a lot. It was really good, and I really appreciate that we went back to Vegas and did a proper heist this time. Can't wait to replicate it with my friends. Then I watched Bob Marley, One Love. And for someone who has no idea who Bob Marley really was, or I barely listened to his music, I thought it was fine. Ben Kingsley does really do a good performance as Bob Marley, and everyone's saying it's Oscar worthy. I'm gonna not say it is. It's a little too early, but damn, I desperately needed subtitles for this film. I'm sorry, I couldn't understand the accents. They were really good, they were really authentic, but I couldn't understand them. And the story was fine. It just follows his life making exodus. It was cool, but it had like a tonal shift. Like, he's getting shot in the first half hour, and then he's like making music in the last third. And I feel like his character doesn't really progress a lot. I don't know, I wasn't grooving with this film. Then I watched Ocean's 8. This is the female version of Ocean's 11, and it was fine. Not because it was a female cast, it was just, it was fine. There was nothing too bad about it. Nothing offensive, but also nothing new to bring to the table. I mean, they robbed the Met Gala, which is cool. And it's cool to see these 8, female characters doing something so extreme and so big that we saw the other people did. And it's a lot of setup, but once we get to the heist and how the heist gets executed and we learn like some of the reveals, yeah, that was really, really cool. I mean, how do you not like that? Next up, I watched Bonnie and Clyde. Wow, this film was amazing. It did have the sauce. We have our 2 protagonists, Bonnie and Clyde, and they are 2 young couples. Actually, in the thumbnail, I really did enjoy this film. It's like American new wavy because of the response from the new wave that America and like Japan and Germany and like Brazil had. They responded with a film that's new wavy to a sense where it could work with the new wave, but it was also an American film first and foremost. It's actually like really violent too. I know this is like right after the Hays Code, so they can show more violence, they can show more sexual like nature of the characters. Because before, if you were married, you had to like be in twin breds, which like, it was so funny. But yeah, people die, people get shot, and it was awesome. A really good film from the 60s that really establishes America's new wave and new Hollywood. Then I watched The Lovers on the Bridge. This was my last cinema to look film, and it was good. Again, it follows 2 homeless people that come together by chance to fall in love on an abandoned bridge. That's the story. There's nothing more to it. 2 hours of just these two people loving and finding each other with a beautiful backdrop as the empty bridge is, because there are lovers on the bridge. It's quintessential cinema de look. It's spectacle over substance. It's about two youthful lovers that fall in love. The romance is dire. There's some consequences, but ultimately it is a beautiful film from the 90s. And fun fact, it was like French's like most expensive film. Then I watched The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. Alright, let me talk about this one. This is the direct inspiration to La La Land, which is my favorite film of all time. This is Damien Chazelle's favorite film, and I gave it 5 stars because it is beautiful. I'm a sucker for musicals, I will admit, and I am a sucker for French musicals. The color just pops. It's so beautiful. The shot design is done in a way where you are just immersed in this world. Fair warning, this movie is mostly sung throughout, so there is not a single word of dialogue that is not sung in this film, and I guess it could get a little tiring and annoying, but I didn't feel that way. I still listen to the soundtrack to this day. It is a beautiful film. This is a French New Wave classic. I think everyone should watch this film. It should be studied years to come, and if you are direct inspiration to my favorite film La La Land, then you have my blessing. This is amazing. Also, Justice for Guy. Then I watched The Hateful Eight. I guess I was in a Tarantino renaissance at this point. I was watching a video about Tarantino and I realized I never watched The Hateful Eight, so I was like, okay, I will watch The Hateful Eight then. Fun fact, Tarantino is my second favorite director of all time, and this is 100% a Tarantino film. The dialogue is snappy and witty and smart. The action is violent, brutal, and gory. We have a beautiful backshot of Wyoming in the wintertime, and you can feel how cold it is. Is that weird to say? It's a whodunit. It does it well. We get to know these 8 characters like really well also, and they all have like distinct personalities, and they all like play off of each other really well. I don't know, for like 2 hours and 40 minutes, I was entertained. Although Tarantino, I'm sorry, I'm not gonna watch your 4-hour like epic. Mostly because I think the film does a really good job in 2 hours and 40 minutes telling its story. I don't think it needs to add another 2 hours on that. And also because I don't feel like it. Then I watched Drive Away Dolls. This is Ethan Coen's first film, not filming with his brother Joel, and it was fun. I had a lot of expectations for this film, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the trailers looked cool. I just thought it was okay. It was really weird at times, and the direction was weird also. I'm gonna be honest, it just didn't have the sauce. So Joel and Ethan really need to link up again, because like this film was just okay. And I know they all can do good work. I've seen No Country for Old Men, and I haven't seen The Tragedy of Macbeth, so I don't know how Joel did, but this movie was fine. It's an hour and like 20 minutes, so it was a quick watch. I just expected way more from the film. Then I watched Dune. I haven't seen Dune ever. I always thought it looked boring, but that's an example of never judge a book by its cover, because this was a really good film. Yeah, it's a setup film, but you know, it sets up pretty well. You get to learn Paul and the Atreides family, and the feud with the Harkonnen, and how Paul's character needs to develop throughout the film. Everyone in this film is doing a really good job, and there's like 100 people in this film. Timothée Chalamet, Rebecca Ferguson, Oscar Isaac, Josh Brolin, Jason Momoa, Zendaya even, in like the 2 scenes that she's in. They all do a really good job. They are very entertaining characters to follow, and overall a really good film. I just really wish that I watched this a little bit earlier, but I watched it at a good time, because I watched Dune Part 2 the next day, so it all wrapped up. Then I watched Black God White Devil. This is a Cinema Nova film. It released in '64, and it was fine. Talking about it in my film class, I quickly realized that they made this movie kind of bad on purpose. And yeah, I was watching it and I'm like, these shots and these rules and these acting does not really make sense. Knowing that it is on purpose kinda helps it a little bit, but I'm also on that side that just because you say it's bad and you did it on purpose doesn't automatically make it good. Like, yeah, you'll get some leeway for saying that you made it bad on purpose, but it's still bad. I don't know, this movie not for me. It was boring. I know it's like very important in the third cinema movement and Cinema Nova in Brazil, but like it didn't have the sauce. Wrapping it all up on the 29th, the day that only happens once every 4 years, I watched Dune Part 2. I talk about it a lot more in my TikTok, so again, plug for the TikTok, go follow me there. But it was beautiful. It was a film that I wish I watched in a bigger screen. Austin Butler comes in and steals the show, but not to the extent where Timothée Chalamet goes in the shadow. He's also fantastic in this film. Paul Atreides' arc is fantastic. I won't talk about it too much because again, I have a TikTok on it, but just know that the last hour of this film is amazing. It is beautiful. It is quintessential Denis. Visuals are amazing. I'm officially a fan of the Dune franchise. What can I expect? And it ends in a note where it doesn't tease a 3. A 3 could happen, but it's completely fine being what it is. And that's my February recap. I watched a lot of movies this month, and I'm actually like really excited that I did. I'm gonna do a thing now where I'm gonna add like 15, 16 movies to my watch list and watch it all in the next month, and then keep adding on to it. Cause I try to go to the movie theaters once a week, so it'll be like 16 films plus like 4 new films cause I watch a movie in the theater, then the films that I watch in my film class, and overall films that maybe I just want to watch by itself. So let me know if you guys like this series. Comment below if I need to change anything. And yeah, I'm really excited to talk about films like this because it is my passion, it's my love, and I'm a filmmaker, so the more films I watch, the more motivated I am to make films. So thank you for watching, follow my socials down below, and have a amazing day.